You can't look back. You can't turn around and go back to whence you came. You've got to move forward in life. And God has called you to become greater than what you are now. In other words, you've not reached your highest point. There's still an upward journey left. And if you keep climbing, and if you keep pursuing God, and if you keep reaching, you're going to achieve great things in this life. Great things in Him. 2 Timothy chapter 1, Paul is writing to Timothy. And he says this. He says, I am reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice. And I am persuaded. I challenge you. Take a look at the times that Paul said, I am persuaded. Study those moments and see what he was so deeply persuaded about. But he said, I am persuaded now lives in you also. You've had forefathers go before you in the gospel. You've had people break ground in front of you. You've had trailblazers go before you. But now the calling is to you to go further, to climb higher, to blaze a new trail for those following after. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't sit back and say, well, I've achieved it, now I can sit down. No, it's time to go a little higher. It's time to study a little more. It's time to get into the presence of God a little bit more. It's time to get into His Word more. It's time to read afresh. It's time to stir up, which was what Paul was writing to Timothy. He said, for this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For the Spirit of God does not make us, or the Spirit God gave us, does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. He also wrote in 1 Timothy, he said, do not neglect the spiritual gift you received through the prophecy spoken over you when the elders of the church laid their hands on you. When the elders of the church gathered around you and prayed for you and blessed you and anointed you to go forward, they gave you something. They gave you a gift. They gave you a desire to pursue something more. They gave you a desire to reach and to stretch and to press forward